Now, back to your podcast.
5 Live Boxing.
Welcome to 5 Live Boxing. I'm outside the Love Factory in Manchester, and inside that building there, that grey building, that grey and black building against the grey and black backdrop, it's Manchester. What do you expect? It's November. Inside there's a whole host of people I'm going to talk to. Natasha, Jonas, world champion. Marie-Eve Dicaire, world champion. Dalton Smith, British light welterweight champion. Joe Gallagher, trainer of champions, and of course trainer of Natasha, Jonas, and perhaps Manchester's greatest ever fighter, Ricky Hatton. I'll hear from all of them today. I'm going to go inside the Love Factory now as the press conference starts. And the man who's going to be holding my hand throughout all of this is the promoter of Saturday's big night of boxing, Mr. Ben Shalom. I'm Steve Bunt, and this is 5 Live Boxing. Backstage at the press conference, behind the speakers, because there's a lot of noise. Ben, first of all, it's another big card, it's another big night, and it might end up being one of the best of the year. And it's been a good year, that's something you and I have talked about before. But let me start with Natasha Jonas and Marie-Eve Dicaire and the whole Jonas story. It starts about 13, 14 months ago with you and her sitting down in a room, having a coffee or whatever you were doing, and you're coming up with a plan, some sort of mad plan, where she'd end up winning 3 world titles at a weight 3 or 4 weights above her weight. What was in the water that day, honestly?
It's actually a very good question, because I remember it clearly. I was with Joe Gallagher and Tasha, and we were having breakfast, and we're working out, how does this woman that stood so much for the sport become a world champion? And everyone was blocking her off, and different promoters were doing different things, and it became very, very difficult. You know, she came to Sky as one of the biggest names, really, in women's boxing, and we had a job to do. And we thought, you know what? We'll go up to 154 and nick a world title.
Yeah, it's fair.
She's here.
3
fights later, fighting for a 3rd world title. We didn't expect this, I'll be honest. We did not expect she would unify and unify again, and here we are.
Was it, I mean, getting the first fight, at least it was a vacant title, so in fairness, you know, you're just in there and you got to deal.
Well, it was Clarissa Shields' title, and we had to get her to vacate. It was a very complicated, but she.
So Clarissa so that wasn't even straightforward. The second fight against the unbeaten Swedish girl, Patricia Burkholdt, she was a champion. You had to persuade her to come here and fight. That wasn't easy. Now, with the Canadian, who's been a champion for a couple of years, who's seasoned, who's big, we'll talk about that in a moment. Was it hard to get her to agree to come here, or was it simply because it's the British ring, what the British public do, and also what you're prepared to pay?
I think Tasha Jonas is a big name in women's boxing. People want to fight Tasha Jonas. You know, she brings a lot, and to headline a card in the Manchester Arena is a dream for anyone. And Marie-Eve Dicaire noticed she has a massive opportunity on Saturday night to elevate her career. So in the end, it's not always as difficult as it seems. You know, Tasha brings a lot to the table. She's won her first world title, and everyone fancies it against Tasha because they know that you know, they're the bigger girl, they're the more natural fighter at that weight.
You mentioned there sometimes it's easier than you think to get things done. Yeah. Is that, and I'm going to whisper it, is that sometimes the secret in this boxing business? Actually, it doesn't have to be as complicated as people make out it is.
It doesn't. I mean, if you've got 2 willing parties with Yvonne Michelle, who represents Marie, it's easy. It makes sense. Everyone wants to fight in the big fights. You'd hope fighters want the big fights. Sometimes you need the help of a governing body, or with Dalton Smith, we had the help of the British Boxing Board, who ordered a purse bid. Sometimes you need that help, but when there's no politics involved, it's very easy to make a fight that makes sense.
Now, in all fairness, in the unofficial union of promoters, which was formed in about 1910, no promoter's meant to say that. You're meant to talk about how complicated it is, how hard it is, how tricky it is, how no one wants to make a fight, how no one wants to do it. You're not meant to say, you know what, you sit down, you put 2 things on the table, you offer them a 3rd thing, and bosh.
I think it's easy when the people involved are easy. It's not the fighters, it's the people around them. And as you say, couple back and forth, usually you can come to it. You can find out very quickly whether you're going to do a deal. And it doesn't have to be so difficult. And we've seen that with Tasha Jonas, and here we are. Hopefully we can keep doing it.
Ben Dunker, and we're going to hear from Joe Gallagher and Tasha Jonas. I managed to grab hold of them, and in all fairness, the thing that struck me wasn't the fact that Tasha was smiling and doing her usual Tasha thing and that Joe was doing his normal thing, is that Joe had the most outrageous man bag. He's got this ridiculous man bag, which I had to pick up on. And the first thing I said to Tasha was, what's the story with Joe's man bag?
I don't know whether it's like a crocodile skin, do you think?
It probably is crocodile. It's from the WBC.
A WBC belt bag. It's part of the Champions collection kit that we got, along with Joe's towel, my belt, a couple of like jackets and t-shirts.
So none of those big metal cases, they're gone. The old cases where the belts come in.
Well, I got
That's
a case
your travel bag.
I got a case for the WBO, but for this WBC, you got the bag. So now I just put them all in the bag because it's easier to carry.
Now, Tash, you've got 2 belts already. It's the 3rd on Saturday. We've already had you've got to pinch yourself to realise it's real moment. And, of course, since you and I talked, Chantel Cameron went out and did win all 4 belts. That must have been great watching her, because you've spent a lot of time around Chantel, hadn't you?
Yeah, we were really close. She used to be one of my main sparring partners for Katie and for Terry Harper. So, yeah, it was great to watch her. She was a fantastic performance. Totally outclassed McCaskill. That wasn't the McCaskill I was expecting at all.
No.
But Chantel, went out there and kept to the game and went up and proved a point. And she said she did everything she said she was going to do, and she won every round quite clearly.
She did as well. Joe, I know you've said that you'd like a gym full of Natasha Jonas's. In fact,
Doesn't say that to me.
he does. He says it away from you because of how good you are. How is Tasha this close to a fight? As we're in fight week. Okay, weight's not necessarily a massive issue like it has been over the past with some of your fights. But how is Tasha compared to other fighters?
Natasha just being Natasha. She's very much, I always liken her to Anthony Crolla. She always embraces fight week, always has a smile on her face, doesn't seem bothered by anything. And that's going back to when she was making weight with Terry Harper, Katie Taylor. She's always embraced it, always has a smile on it, and realises, well, there's no point getting stressed or nervous now. It's when the bell rings or you're in the ring walk, that's the time to switch on. So she embraces it, and she's bearable.
But there must be signs.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Imagine Tasha's not here. There are signs. I've been in the gym when someone's had a really great time, then I've been up for a month later to watch Mark Efford, and he's having a really bad time in the gym because he's got some problems. Tash can't be good all the time. She can't be happy all the time. She can't be content and embracing it all the time, Joe.
Well,
I know she's there, but you're going to have to tell me.
But the thing is with it, Steve, you're right, there's days and they have bad days and good days, but there's a couple of other kids in the gymnasium that come in and I've never known them to have a bad day.
Wow.
They've always dedication, the discipline, the work ethic, the enthusiasm. They always put it in, no matter how they're feeling. They manage to switch off what's going on outside and put it in. Listen, there's the odd day Tasha might come in saying, I'm feeling a little bit tired, and I can usually tell when that is. And but apart from that, she'll come in. She doesn't need someone to stand over her. She knows, like the old school, you come in, you do your shaddy, your heavy bag, your speedball. She knows ticking over. She'll do that until she gets a day, and then that's it. But no, it's she's very good.
Do you like that part of Joe's gym? Tash, the fact that it is like an old gym. It would have been like when you first walked through the doors at Rotunda. It's a normal gym. It's a proper old gym. Do you like that part of it?
Yeah, I think it stems as well from the amateur days. When you go to an amateur gym, there's loads of people there. You go in and you're part of the class.
You're part of it, yeah.
Yeah. So and then I think the odd times in lockdown, especially for the Harper and for the Katie, when it has just been me and Joe, it's intense. And you can't slack off and you can't do anything because he's watching and he's hawk-eyeing you and he's on you.
Nowhere to hide, even behind those big bags.
Yeah, exactly. So there's times like that when it has been like that, but in general with the gym, and it's brilliant to see. Like Clark said, you're sitting at the gym and I'm skipping, but I'm watching the spar and I think, oh, I might try that shot. Oh, I like the way he's did that. Oh, and you pick things up and you think, I'll try that. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least you've seen it and you've just tried it.
Yeah, that's a great point now, because if you're in all work environments during COVID, people that who went from a group where they were exchanging ideas, suddenly they're back in their bedrooms for 6 months, 9 months. You're losing that interaction. In a boxing gym, you're not only losing the interaction, but you're losing little bits you're picking up, or little bits that people say to you. I've seen Callum Johnson wandering around the gym when he's been preparing for big fights, the one that fell through, and you can see him, he's still watching and learning. So it's a big thing that our doors are open again, that the people are in, and that they're learning from each other. Is that a fair comment, Joe?
Yeah, it is. I'd say Natasha, I think she was the beneficiary having COVID, having that one-on-one, and we're both so mentally on the same page. We weren't supposed to win. We were reading books, and then we were watching documentary series on Netflix, and it was all positive stuff. And I think that's when we really connected and solid. And I think from that, Katie Taylor, she's just gone on that learning curve that keeps going up. The fact that everyone's back in the gymnasium now, Steve, yeah, it is. Ophi Burton will go with Tasha and say you sparred rubbish today. Someone else will go over and say you did really well. So that's what it is. There's plenty of feedback. Do you know what I mean?
Which
give
is
an honest opinion.
Which is definitely amateur style. And if you're in a proper amateur gym, you know, you get that straight away, even from a 12-year-old or 13-year-old. He or she's not afraid to tell you, you're rubbish today. You're rubbish today. You're not going to be rubbish on Saturday. I know we've talked about it being a pinch me year. You know, pinch me. Is it really happening? But it is happening, Tash. You're about to fight for your third world title inside a 9-month or 10-month period, you're one win away from an incredible 2023. You've got a smile on your face now. You must go to sleep and wake up with that smile every single day.
Yeah, like I smile. I've got nothing to be sad about. Even when things were down, and you know, I learned and I picked myself up and I progressed. So there is nothing to be sad about. I'm healthy. The baby's healthy. I'm in a good place. I'm supported. You know, I'm looked after. So yeah, I've got nothing to be sad about.
And have you seen Dicaire before? Have you been in her company before?
I nearly buttered her as I walked out the door before. I walked right into her. But no, I've never seen it in real life. Obviously, we've seen her through watching. But yeah, I've seen her now. You know, she's probably not as big as I expected, if I'm honest.
Okay, because she's always been 152, 153, hasn't she? Weight-wise, yeah.
So, and even the statures. But yeah, you know. Like I say all the time, Joe is so meticulous in his planning that we prepare for every best version of whatever she can do, whether she's going to come on the front foot and try and attack, whether she's going to go on the defences and try and counter. We've prepared in camp for every best version that she can bring.
But a very relaxed Tasha there, very straightforward Tasha there, and it seems that she's always that way. And she said, you know, it's been a remarkable career. Just up to this point, it's been a remarkable career. But Dicaire fight is the hardest of the light middleweight, super welterweight fights by some considerable distance. Ben, is that a fair comment?
Yeah, there's no way we'd have taken this fight as the first challenge for a world title. Tasha is impressed and improved so much that we feel confident enough to take this fight, and that says a lot as to where we were a few months ago. We really have seen Tasha's development, and against Patricia Bergold, the way she was around the ring and the way she was finding those opportunities and landing so much.
She had to think, because Bergold's a big old lump.
Correct, and now that's prepared her for Marie Dicaire, and we feel, yes, it's going to be tough. Yes, it's a southpaw. Yes, she's got a huge size advantage. Tasha Jonas is an extremely gifted boxer, and especially when she's active, and we're now seeing that. And at 38 years old, we've said it before, to be doing what she's doing, to be fighting as regularly as she is and still improving, it's incredible. But Saturday night is a serious fight, and it could go either way.
And you mentioned there the size, and that was something that was most noticeable when they got up to do the face-off at the end. I know Dicaire's got some high heels on, but that's irrelevant. She's just bigger all over. And I managed to speak to Marie Dicaire, and which was a pleasure, because she's very funny. I got a sense she was funny, and she is funny. So, but I grabbed hold of her, and I had to ask her what I just said to you there, that the size difference is so obvious.
Well, actually, we knew about it, but I also know that Natasha is a fighter. So when we're a fighter, we can recognize in each other. Fighters recognize fighter. And I know she's not going to let a weight advantage, a size advantage dictate the rhythm of the fight. So I know she's going to do everything in her power to limit this height advantage. And we're going to be ready for that.
But you're seasoned. You know how to use that. You know, You've been at that. You're a big super welterweight, light middleweight. You know how to do things. You're not a youngster at this game, and I don't mean that's nothing to do with age. In boxing years, you're not young. You're seasoned. You must look at her and you think, you know what? If I hit her with a jab and I stay long, she's going to struggle to get near me.
Well, the thing is, thank you for justifying that I'm not old.
No, not old.
In
thank boxing you. Years, not in real years.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Yes, I've been boxing with this size all my life, so I know how to adapt it. I know how to take advantage of it. And actually, what she's going to do is not my job. I'm going to be focusing on what I have to do, and she'll have to adjust. She'll have to break this distance.
Yeah, because she is She's fast. I mean, I'm not giving away any trade secrets. She's faster, she's clever, and she's got that fantastic pedigree from the Olympics and Europeans and World Championships. But you've also shared the ring. You shared the ring with Claressa Shields. You've been in with one of the greatest female fighters.
Yeah, well, actually, all my boxing career, I faced real tough opponents. I faced Shield, I faced Michaela Lauren, I faced Lindbergh, I faced Suarez. Yeah. We never took any shortcut. So I think having this background, having to face these girls, brought something. In each fight, I learned something. And now I come to this fight and my bag is full of tools. And I'm going to be ready to use any tool I need to.
It's like you're an old-fashioned fighter, not a modern female fighter. It's like you're an old-fashioned pro. You know, it's like you've done it the sort of hardish way, the real way. I like that.
Yeah. Well, for me and for my coaches, it was clear that we wanted to build something, and you don't learn the easy way. So we faced adversity, and that's how we grew up. That's how we came to this opportunity, and we're going to be ready to seize it because we know we faced adversity, and it brought us here.
Now, bringing us here, that's going to be my final point.
Yep.
You know what we can do here at women's boxing. You've seen the crowds.
Yep.
You saw Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall. And you've seen it in the past. We get 10, 12, 15,000 people. What do you think that's going to be like coming out in the main event in front of about 12 or 15,000 people? What's that going to be like?
You know what? I thrive to these challenges, and I come from a town where hockey is like a religion, and our crowd is really, really loud. So I just hope Manchester's crowd is going to be louder than the crowd I know home. And they're going to be there, and that's amazing to see the female fight headliner of the AO Arena in front of such crowd. I mean, I'm just thrilled.
We heard from a confident Natasha. We've now heard from a very confident Marie-Eve Dicaire. I'm hoping, Ben, that permanent smile on her face is just a permanent smile on her face, and not that she's got here, she's looked at Natasha Jonas and she's thought to herself, I can't lose this. I hope it's not a smile of confidence. Well, actually, if it is a smile of confidence, overconfidence, it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. She is extremely confident. She is extremely ready. She said before she's never felt as good as this. It is a dangerous fight. There's no way else you can look at this. Yes, she's smiling. Yes, she's relaxed. I think she's so grateful. She can't believe the turnout. She can't believe the press interest. She's seen what it's like now to fight Tasha Jonas in the UK, and she's getting what she dreamt of. And her opportunity, she feels, is Saturday night. Let's not forget that. That's why she's smiling, and she's here to have a big fight and a big night. How are you, mate? Yeah, good to see you.
Just Ricky Hatton popping over to say hello. Ben, let me ask you this: when you accepted Dicaire, obviously there's a third title involved, but did you think, you know what, we could just take anybody for a defence? Yeah. But this, if we beat Dicaire, it really catapults us into one of those super fights that you and I have talked about in the past. Whether it's Claressa Shields, whether it's Katie Taylor rematch, whether it's Terry Harper for all the titles, or whether it's even Chantel Cameron. That if she'd have just fought someone you'd have found, and you know what I mean by that, I'm not being disrespectful to opponents, it would have just been a win. But this would be a special win, a special sequence.
Tasha's at the stage in her career where she wants to make history. This is legacy. This is big fights. This is a huge test. But she knows beyond it, as you said, whether it's Shields, whether it's Katie Taylor, whether it's Jessica McCaskill at 147, she's still got all the belts there. This is a huge moment for her that does lead to a super fight. And that is how far Tasha Jonas is headlining a bill on Saturday night. It's unbelievable what she's done. It's unbelievable what she's doing for the sport and what the numbers that she's bringing in as well.
It is unbelievable. It is truly unbelievable. And she's headlining a good bill. I want to go through one or two. I want to speak about Dalton in a moment. But Big Fraser Clark. Big Fraser's been vocal in the past about this opponent wasn't good enough, this opponent wasn't good enough. But there's always reasons why the opponents aren't good enough, because 7 have pulled out and 10 have asked for ridiculous money. Yeah. Forget that. He's got Kamil Sokolowski, one of my favourite heavyweights at the moment. It's a proper test.
It's a proper test. We've actually got 3 or 4 people lined up, making sure that we're ready in case there's any sort of pullouts this time. But Kamil Sokolowski, in all seriousness, is a tough test. We wanted to give him 8 weeks' notice. He's had a full camp. Yeah. He's going to be dangerous. He's used to coming in 1 or 2 weeks and still looking the part. This is a tough test. This is Fraser Clark in his 4th fight. I've never seen so much scrutiny on a young, really a prospect,
than with
Fraser Clark. It's unbelievable, but I think that's good, and it shows there's huge interest in his career, which is what you need with a heavyweight, and a lot of people are going to be watching on Saturday night, looking at how he can deal with a serious contender.
And it is a serious contender, and it's a terrific fight, and you should be commended for the piece of matchmaking. You see, it's all very well people saying, you should fight somebody. It's not as easy, especially with heavyweights. Heavyweights are heavyweights; they're a different breed. So I think it's a perfect bit of matchmaking, and I think it's a hard fight, a tough fight. I like Vidal Riley. Here's a kid who a couple of years ago was training KSI to beat Logan Paul at a fight I was at in Los Angeles. Now he's a professional in his own right. He was with the Mayweather stable. He's had fights in about 5 different countries, all kind of bizarre places. You've got him now at cruiserweight, and we know this pedigree because he went to like the World Junior Games about 10 years ago when he was with Mickey May at West Ham. But we're not quite seeing it, or will we see it, or has he missed? As that 4 or 5 year gap or 3 year gap from boxing? What do you get? What sense do you get with Riley? Because I'm not quite sure where I am with Riley.
Right, he was a boxer before a YouTuber.
Absolutely,
he's a very, very young guy. He's a very young guy. He beat Bill and Smith in the amateurs. He's got a wonderful amateur record. He's a technically gifted boxer. He goes over and starts training and signs with Floyd Mayweather, and it was all a bit distant, and he really couldn't get his career going. He's still 23 years old.
Yeah, by the way, he's a baby.
He's now coming here and he's serious about what he's doing. He could go and make millions, Steve.
Yeah, I know.
He can go and fight Jake Paul and all different
easy,
fights,
comfy.
whatever he wants to do. But he's here because he's serious about the sport and he dreamt of becoming a world champion. And he looks at the cruiserweight division and sees Lawrence Okolie and Richard Riakporhe and wants to be fighting them and wants to be at that level. Make no mistake, although he's got a huge following, he's just like the likes of Fraser Clark, Dalton Smith, and all the others that think they're going right to the top.
Is there a chance that he might be in the 1,000 or so professional boxers we got in Britain? Is there a chance he might be the secret? He might be the sleeper. He's like the kind of secret agent. He's the Bourne, if you like. He's the guy that we're kind of overlooking him. That he's a real fighter here.
He's a real fighter. He's a real fighter. He's a real guy, and his dad as well, who trains him. They're proper boxing people. He is a proper boxing man. And yes, I do. I think we were saying amongst the team that once he gets going in his career, he's got such an advantage. The people that are going to be watching his fight, he's got it streamed on his YouTube to over 1.2 million people on Saturday night. Once he gets going with his career and is fighting regularly and is showing what he can do, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with because he's got everything.
And I come to Dalton Smith, who is one of my favourite fighters over the last 18 months, 2 years, in a really good fight against Casey Benjamin. It's a competitive fight at light welterweight, but more than that, Smith's a talent, and it's good that you've got him on this show.
He is a talent, and I said up there, it does remind me a little bit of the Khan Brook with days. We've got Adam Azim, who's our lightweight that we signed this.
He's done a massive deal this week. Is it 5 years? Is it a 4-year deal or 5-year deal?
It's a 5-year deal, and it's a huge deal for us. And we think he's going right to the top. And a lot of people believe Dalton Smith is going right to the top. We need superstars. We need future superstars of boxing. Dalton Smith hopefully can be one. He's got the biggest test of his career on Saturday night. I truly believe that by some way. But yes, he's got a lot of talent. It's great to have him with Boxer. It's his first fight with us. Let's see what happens after. But that's what we need. We need guys that you're getting excited about and going, I love watching them. I think they're going to go right to the top, and Dalton could be one of them.
And that's the way it is with Adam Azim. And we know I put Adam Azim on 5 Live about 7 or 8 months ago. People went crazy for him, and I think he was only just 20 then.
He's still only 20.
He's only a 20-year-old baby now. Now, I caught up with Dalton, and before I started talking about the World Series of boxing and fighting for world titles and defending British titles, I asked him if he could ever imagine doing what Tasha Jonas is doing and jumping up to what would be, 4 weights above and having 3 world titles for 3 different opponents, winning 3 belts in a year. And he was just shaking his head in absolute awe.
That just shows what fighter she is. That's what fighter she shows she is, and credit to her. Anybody in boxing who notices them accomplishments, you've got nothing but respect for them, because me as a fighter, you know what it takes to do that.
Now, you're in an odd gym, if you don't mind me saying so, and I mean that nicely. You've got Florian Marku, an extrovert. You've got Sonny Edwards, the king of extroverts. Now, are you the sensible one in the gym? I mean, you're smiling now, but you must be, because they're both of those are way out there, aren't they?
That's it. They're the wild characters, and it's probably why I don't need to be so. Like, they probably.
You can just get on with your business.
Yeah, I see that and I think, right, just get on with your business. But that makes them who they are for the characters, and you know, my character makes me who I am. You know, I'm very laid back.
You've done your stuff in the ring. You did your stuff as an amateur. You're doing your stuff from World Series of Boxing to major, youth championships and stuff like that. You're building slowly. Do you feel that you should be better known, or are you just quite comfortable, just learning your trade, getting slowly towards something?
You know, I'm comfortable where I'm at.
Good.
My name's growing and my profile's building. Each fight I have, and I'm getting known for being able to fight, and that's how it'll continue to do. But yeah, I'm confident I'm going to be up there with the big names in the future.
Now, you're still, in some ways, as Big Mo starts to call people to the table, as you're still getting close, though, to things, but you're not in a mad rush, because in some ways you're still a boxing baby. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I'm a baby. I'm 25.
Yeah, but a baby 25.
Yeah, baby 25.
You're not a veteran of 12 really ridiculously hard, drawn-out fights.
Exactly. I've not done many what's gone the distance, and I've not took many shots throughout my career. So, I'm in this for the long run. I'm here to, when I'm at the top, I want to be there for a long time and have a great career.
Let me ask you this, when I was looking through your amateur career, I was reminded that in the World Series of Boxing, you fought the Cuban Toledo in Kazakhstan, one of the great Cubans from the last 25 years in Kazakhstan, five rounds. How hard were those World Series of Boxing bouts? Because people tend to overlook those. I look at them, I think they're a really major part of a pro's career, even though you do them as an amateur.
Yeah, and that they put you in good stead for when you turn over, because you're getting chucked in at the deep end. I was 18 when I boxed Toledo. I was 18.
Well, you were a baby.
I was a baby. Never boxed a professional fight in my life. Little gloves, no head guards.
Vest off.
Vest off. In the middle of it, you've got everything against you.
Yeah.
And I was against a top Olympian and went out there and had a very close fight with him. So, I've been there in the big stage. I've been in the deep end, and I proved I can, prevail there.
Now, Casey Benjamin is, I would say, an old-fashioned style fighter. Nothing glamorous, does things well. He's had hard fights, he's had decent fights. Last 4 or 5 fights have been competitive. Not the last one, because that was late notice. This is a kind of throwback British title fight in some ways. You know what I mean by that? It's a genuine, it's a real fight.
Me and Casey, we're real fighters.
Yeah.
And, we're putting it on the line, and, he's coming to challenge me for my belt, and yeah, it's going to be a great fight.
And just quickly, finally, as Big Mo gets into Big Song, I know I don't like to look forward, but would you like to have a world title fight by the middle of next year, by the end of next year? Or are you comfortable the way things are going?
I'm comfortable. Like I say, I'm in no rush. Just as long as my career's progressing each fight, I'm comfortable. But once I've had a world title on my belt and I've got to the end of my career and I've achieved everything I've set out to do, then that's when I'll be happy.
So that's Dalton Smith there. Sensible head, wide shoulders, but still a boxing baby. Adam Azim is a baby, and I mean that nicely. And Dalton's still a baby. Don't worry about that. Ben, it's been a good year, and we are going to do something special with you looking back over the year. But now, can you give us a clue about anything that's coming up? This December 17th date that's flying around. Is it? Can't we discuss it? Can't we just talk about it?
We've tried to limit our box office events, as you know. This year we tried to put as much not on pay-per-view as possible, but we do have a couple of big ones coming up. Everyone's been asking about what Liam Smith's going to do next, what Chris Eubank Jr. is going to do next. It's now all just about the date.
Yeah.
They want to fight each other. They're ready to fight each other. It's a fantastic
and could
fight.
that be this year? I mean, in the realms, it's a possible.
In the realms, it's a possibility.
Yeah, sure.
It's going to be in the very near future. We hope to announce it next week. We're working well now with Calla and Liam, and everything's there. I don't want to say too much because I don't want the fighters to be saying, oh, you ruined our announcement, this and that. But that's a fight that I'd love to see. It's one that I think will happen.
And I was with Fraser Clark earlier this week, and I spent some quality time with Richard Riakporhe. He's a very impressive young man. Might Richard get out by the end of the year?
Yes, so I expect to see Bilham Smith out. Chris, we went to Bournemouth with and had a fantastic night against
night
Isaac.
In Bournemouth.
Unbelievable
Night
against
of the year.
Isaac Chamberlain, and he wants to fight for world titles. What we're looking at that cruiserweight division with Lawrence Okoli, Richard Riakporhe, Bilham Smith, Jai Opataya, Gulamarian, Makabu. They should all be fighting each other. I think it's going to happen. Richard now wants the big fights. He wants the world titles. So does Bilham Smith. We know Lawrence is already a world champion. Those are the fights we're looking at next, and those are the fights in the next month or two.
But first, it's Manchester, and it's Tasha Jonas on this dream run against Marie-Eve Dicaire. Oh, it sounds almost ridiculous to say it. It's beautiful. 3 world title fights in 1 year and possibly winning 3 different belts. No man's ever done it. I'm being honest. I've checked. No British man's ever done it. In 3 consecutive fights. It hasn't happened.
Look, I don't want to get too carried away because Saturday night she needs to come through. But what she has done, if she comes through, is historic, and I hope she will be recognised for what's happened this year because it really is remarkable.
Ben, it's always a pleasure and a delight talking to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
See you Saturday. Ben's wandered through in between the speakers, and what's happened here is that for the first 90 minutes of this press conference, all the fight posters were about the boxer show and about Natasha Jonas. And then suddenly, when that podium cleared, all of the posters were turned around, and now it's all about Marco Antonio Barrera, the great Mexican, arguably one of the top 3 greatest Mexicans of all time, against Ricky Hatton. It's not a contest sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control. It's an exhibition. In fact, Marco Antonio Barrera is sitting about, no word of lie, he's sitting about 5 or 6 feet from me. Ricky Hatton is floating around doing different bits and pieces. Ricky's here now. Ricky, can I get 2 minutes for the BBC 5 Live, Ricky? I've got Ricky now just before he goes on to the comments. Rick, first of all, I'm going to say it feels like old times, not because we're back at a press conference, but because, and I said this to you before, because of the way you look.
Yeah.
You're in the best. I mean, it's like you've turned back the clock 20 years.
Oh, we have. I mean, we all get a little bit older and a little bit wiser, and life slows down for us a bit. But I'm enjoying where I am. I'm enjoying the compliments I'm getting of how well I'm looking. You know, and bearing in mind, you know, a few years ago, Steve, how my head fell off a little bit. Let's just put it that way. To be where I am now and doing positive things, not just the exhibition. With the letters I've had, mate, of people sort of like say, you know, you've motivated me to get my weight off. I've not been able to get my weight off, but if you can do it, and the mental health side of things and everything like that. I mean, when it got postponed the first time, I thought, all that for nothing. It certainly wasn't for nothing. I've loved it, and I think this is the way forward for me.
You tell what when I realised how serious you were about it and how much good it was doing you, you had your usual month in Tenerife or 5 weeks in Tenerife, and you only gained, about 5 or 6 pounds or something, stupid, weren't it? Or 10 pounds.
My holidays after were normally tougher than the fights. Well, that's what it was. It was a proper holiday. I went running every day. I was even getting up and having porridge for my breakfast, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, porridge in Tenerife?
Yeah, porridge.
You get thrown out of the country.
I know. Porridge instead, where in years gone by, it was a full English, wasn't it, and everything. I'm having, like, you know, scrambled egg and stuff like that, and it's, listen, I'm not ready for my pipe and slippers. Ricky Hatton's not ready for his pipe and slippers, you know. I'm still like to have a beer and like to have a good time, but it's just simple. Life slows down for us eventually, you know what I mean? And that's where I'm at, and I'm getting more enjoyments now. Being able to see me kids, I don't want to run up and down Manchester on the beer, you know what I mean? You know, I'm enjoying time in the gym, training my fighters, training myself personally, spending time with my kids, and I have a couple of nights here and there. That's me now, mate.
And Rick, are you going to try and stay somewhere down where you are now? I mean, you know, not on the actual pounds we are, but within that region, you know what I mean?
100%, mate, 100%. You know, the funny thing is that when I first went into training for the July 2nd fight, for the July 2nd date, I used to think I was all right. I used to look in the mirror and think, oh, it's all right, but it's only since I've got my weight off now, and I look back at videos from 7 months ago, I think, Ricky, what was going on? And it was scary because it wasn't like back in the day. I used to lose my weight, you know, and I always knew I'd be back in training in 6 or 7 weeks. Yeah. Now I'm 44 now, and I can't keep dragging someone out of retirement every time I want to get a bit of weight off. And you know, this probably will be my last one I'll do. If another one comes along, you know, if it comes along. But the thing is, there's not going to be many. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So at 44, I can't be shifting 3 and 4 stones anymore because it's not going to do me good. I took liberties when I was fighting. At least I'm 44 years of age now, and the penny's finally dropped.
Well, you look great, Rick. Enjoy it, because I know you will.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? I'm just thinking about when you come out, you won't be the only one crying when they play the song.
No, it's going to be an emotional night. I mean, so many positives to come out of it, and I've not even stepped in the ring yet with Marco, and I've not even heard the roar of the crowd. But so big one for me, because obviously the fans are here, they meant a lot to me. All my mates are here that were there for the Vegas days and all that. And more importantly, you know, my mum and dad are here, and I think the fact that they wasn't here against Senchenko, I think I suffered from it.
Yeah.
But I think everyone's seeing a happier Ricky Hatton these days, and I think they're going to see a better Ricky Hatton Saturday night in the ring.
Ricky, thanks very much. You look absolutely brilliant. That's Big Mo up there just calling them to the top table. What an afternoon here in Manchester. Marco Antonio Barrera over there, Ricky Hatton here. We heard from Dalton Smith defending his title. Ben Shalom joined me throughout the show. Joe Gallagher and his man bag we had on. We had the ever-smiling Natasha Jonas in great form. And then Marie-Eve Dicaire, confident, smiling, and more importantly, big. That's a Saturday night fight night, if ever there was one, at the arena in Manchester. 8,000 or 9,000 sold already. They'll probably go up to about 15 or 16. Blue Moon will start playing about 11 o'clock. Ricky will make his walk. Before then, perhaps Tasha Jonas would have pulled off one of the most ridiculous consecutive sequence of fights, winning 3 world titles in 3 consecutive fights in 1 year. Absolutely incredible. What a night it will be. And you can listen to it on 5 Live in the Stephen Nolan Show. Sometime around 10 p.m. we'll have live coverage, live commentary of Natasha Jonas against Eve Marie Dicaire, the IBF, the WBO and the WBC light middleweight championship of the world. What a night. I've been Steve Bunce. This has been 5 Live Boxing.
Let's get ready to rumble!
5 Live Boxing.